So, PlayStation has released a new model for the PlayStation 5. Alright, let's talk about it. Where are we? Okay, so we're here. Yeah, there's a new look for the PlayStation 5. It's slimmer, it's a little bit lighter, and it will give you pretty much the same functionality as before. Same power, not an update. It's more of a just an updated release. That's all it is. So over here we see that we still have the disc edition and then the slim edition. You will still be able to buy each of these SKUs separately, just like you've been before. So really for you, the consumer, it doesn't change much in terms of what you'll be interacting with as your choices. One thing to note though is that the new version will allow you, if you buy the digital PlayStation 5 version, you would then subsequently at a later date be able to add the disk drive in case you want to convert it into a full-fledged PlayStation 5 with the disc, and that would be the only difference between the two. So what this does allow you to do, oh, by the way, a reason that you might consider this, even if you do not buy your games primarily through physical, number one, you could, and then later that you could decide to add it. But number two, if you decide that you're going to get into 4K movies, the PlayStation 5 is one of the best 4K Blu-ray players that you can buy for the price. So, that would just save you like an extra few $100 if you decided to go for another dedicated 4K Blu-ray disc player. So that's just an option there. So that would be probably the main reason why you would do it, I guess. But anyways, it's good for a consumer to have the option so that you are not locked into the PlayStation Store pricing. Now, with this updated model, we do get a few things here. So it has been reduced in volume by 30%. It has been reduced in weight by 18 and 24% respectively compared to the previous models. You can add this Blu-ray disc drive, which will be sold separately for $80 US. And so that's it. Now, the biggest difference for most people is that the PlayStation 5 digital version will increase to $450. One of the things that you are getting with the new versions, the new revision, is that they are going to increase the SSD space from 825 gigabytes to 1 terabyte. So it's about 175 gigs extra that you get out of the box, but that will be across both models. While the disc version is staying the same price, the digital version is going up. So let's talk a little bit about this, because I think this is what has caused the most controversy. The fact that digital went up by $50. And listen, it's not about the storage, it's just about margins. This is just a move over here that is benefiting Sony because they get to create a smaller, lighter PlayStation, which will have a smaller box so that it will be cheaper for them to ship around the world. For the manufacturing line, it will now be, kind of like one base plinth that they would either add a disc to or they will not add a disc to. So again, it simplifies their production. And then on top of that, they decided that the margins they were making on the digital version were not enough to satisfy them for whatever reason. So therefore, they added the price by $50. So as a PlayStation digital potential buyer, you get to benefit from the convertible nature, which is something that you should be happy about. But mostly this is just a Sony positive move. It doesn't really, it's like pretty much neutral for gamers. If you know that you do not mind being locked in to the digital version of the PlayStation, getting a version now, the original version, despite its larger size, will give you that cheaper price. But I just think that when you ponder where your life could go for the next 5 or 10 years, because these consoles will stay relevant and they will still be active even after the next generation comes out, you will just get far more functionality out of having the disc included, the disc player included. Therefore, you have two options. Number one, you could just pay the $500 and buy it, kind of all done in one place. But I think even if you think to yourself, okay, I'm mostly going to just need the digital version, then getting the new convertible model will make a lot of sense. So it is what it is. This is a Sony move, and if people want to get mad about that, then I guess don't buy it and they would eventually drop the price, or buy it when they drop the price. The other smaller controversy is this thing, the vertical stand. So if you have the original revision of the PlayStation 5, then you got a convertible stand in there. It was a little plastic thing. You could switch it from horizontal to a vertical layout, and then that was how you interacted, and you made sure that your PlayStation was stable on a stand. This time around, they will still give you a horizontal PlayStation stand in the box, which is just a little plinth, and now they will charge you separately for an extra $30 for you to get this vertical version. So they're taking something that was in the box and they've removed it. Now, I understand the arguments. From a consumer point of view, you gave me functionality before that I bought and I got as part of the package, and now you've removed it. It echoes examples of like Apple removing the headphones and then removing the charger from the box that used to come with the iPhones. It also echoes what Sony did with this PlayStation 5 generation. They no longer include any earbuds in the box. So for me to actually communicate online, I actually use my PlayStation 4 headset that came in the box. So, I just never really found a reason. I don't play enough multiplayer online games where I talk enough that I've decided so far to invest in a proper microphone setup. I could do it, but it's just not a big a deal to me. So now here we are again. So now you're being charged an extra $30. And honestly, guys, I understand your complaint, but here's the thing. History does have a place here. Every single generation before this, pretty much, I think except for the PlayStation 1, we have had a vertical stand being offered as an optional accessory, because the console can stand on its own. Like, it can. It's just that if you want extra stability, well, you have the option. So, honestly, like, you know what? I'm going to say this to you. I don't mind you making a fuss about this. Go have at it. If you can make enough noise, enough brouhaha, Sony is going to perhaps include it back in the box, and that will be beneficial to everybody else. I just don't think this is the hill to die on. My brother Porterwork the other day, he was talking about Naughty Dog not having released a new single player game. That is a far better hill to be fighting on. This optional stand, I mean, get it if you want it, don't get it if you don't support it, do whatever you want. I'm not getting into this fight with you guys about it. The last thing I want to say about the PlayStation 5 new version is that it is god ugly. I really, really hate this design. And I only really have one issue with it. And the issue I have with it is this split here on the top panel. Number one, it is now going to have 4 different covers. I understand why the bottom halves are separated. That makes perfect sense, because that will speak to the convertible nature of it. But I do not understand why the split was put at the top. The top panels are going to be glossy, the bottom are going to be matte. I don't like that look. The fact that when we are going to get special editions covers for a game, let's say The Last of Us Part 3 comes out, and then they decide to do what they did with the Spider-Man plates and the Office plate, and now there's going to be this gap on the side that actually displays most of the art. I don't like that. I think it makes the console design look a lot more fussy. I don't think it looks good. I think that the sleeker look was far better. Granted, this is something that is easily correctable. It's something that they can correct easily. They could just go forward and then create a solid plate, at least at the top one, so that issue is taken out. But as it is right now, I really truly think it looks terrible. Even though the more time goes on, the more I get used to seeing it. So it still looks ugly to me, but I don't know. It is what it is. It's an aesthetic thing. Some people like it, some people don't. I just say that this top plate should be one solid plate, and then that will make a lot more sense. So it is what it is. There's nothing else here that is particularly interesting about this product. So you have 3 potential issues. Number 1, the vertical stand has been taken out of the box. It is what it is. Number 2, the base digital PlayStation 5 has gone up by $50. It is what it is. And on number 3, I think the design is far uglier than the first version, which I actually love. So I'm really happy with the version of it that I got. Now, the second news is this: the PlayStation Cloud streaming for premium members. So if you are on PlayStation Plus Premium, you will now be able to stream select PlayStation 5 games to your console directly. This will allow you to basically try a game, for example, without necessarily having to commit to the entire download, because even though there are games that will allow you to start playing them once a particular file size has been downloaded, so if you have like a 100 gig game, certain games will allow you to start playing the game, the first few levels, at a 12 gig download size. This will kind of alleviate that even more, because there are some people, especially in the US, where data caps are a real concern. So you just wanted to try a game and experience it, but not necessarily commit to the entire download. That could actually be something that is useful for somebody out there. So that is the first case scenario where I see where you will use this cloud streaming feature. And then of course you could also use it when you're on the go, and let's say you're downloading, so you're streaming to your mobile phone, and you've got those backbone attachment things, and you've got it strapped onto your phone. Like that's another thing. But honestly, I don't really care about cloud streaming. The only reason I'm bringing this up in my particular video is that it will be able to support 4K 60. And so this brings out, I think, an existential question, because Microsoft and Xbox have been far more vocal about the support for cloud streaming, the need for cloud streaming for cloud first gamers and everything like that. And here we have another example of Sony coming in and leapfrogging them ahead of technology being offered to the consumer at the end of the day. I still don't think that PlayStation is going to make a big fuss about this cloud streaming thing. I don't think that they're going to want to pivot and shift to a cloud first approach the way that Microsoft seems to be flirting with the idea. But it is just interesting to see that yet again, PlayStation is offering a technology that is far ahead of what Microsoft is doing, even though Microsoft has been the ones talking the most about this particular technology platform. Now, for me personally, it truly doesn't affect me. And what I mean by that is it literally cannot affect me, since I am not offered PlayStation Plus Premium in Australia. So we get PlayStation Plus Deluxe, which has all of the benefits of Premium minus any streaming whatsoever. So I could not partake in this, and I could not give you my opinion on this one way or another. But I just think that it is an interesting moment in gaming, in the gaming conversations, the gaming circles, where we have yet again another example of it being offered in a better way. Now, the resolution thing is one thing, okay? It includes 4K and 1440p. xCloud at the moment, or Xbox Cloud Streaming, I think is a proper name for it, is still in beta, and it still only goes up to 1080p 60. So they have two higher resolutions, but I think the far more important thing, and the thing that actually matters, is that you will be able to stream your games that you have purchased that are not necessarily part of PlayStation Plus subscription. So for example, let's say that you have Spider-Man 2, and that is not being offered as part of PlayStation Plus because it is a brand new game. You may be able to stream that game because you own it digitally, and therefore everything is good. So I think that's actually really exciting, because at the moment with Xbox, they only offer a library that also happens to be on Game Pass. So I think the library available for Xbox Cloud Streaming is it's a subset of the library that's available in Game Pass. So if you have a game that is not in Game Pass, but you do want to stream it, you are not able to at the moment. So I think that there is far more important. And I think this is really for territories, number one, that I'm not involved in because I don't get it. But I think this is going to be a big thing for Japan. Places where they have definitely embraced smaller hardware, and you will be able to offer them a way to buy into the PlayStation ecosystem without necessarily having the hassle of the console. So that's going to be cool. It's obviously going to be offered in North America and then certain places in Europe as well. And then you can read all of the countries that it is offered in down here. So it is what it is. It's an exciting future potentially, but I think that in about 5 years is when I'm going to actually be able to take advantage of it, because number one, it has to be offered here, and then number two, I'd have to think about a use case scenario where I will personally use cloud streaming. It doesn't mean much to me, but it is interesting as part of the discourse. And then finally over here we have the PlayStation Plus catalog. This is the final thing that I wanted to touch on, actually the second last thing I wanted to touch on, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is that Disco Elysium Final Cut is part of the PlayStation Plus game catalog, and I think that's coming October 17th. Yeah, so Tuesday, October 17th is when this will be available. I just want to highlight Disco Elysium, the Final Cut. It is an amazing game. There are issues with the game. I will put it at an 8 out of 10, but if you like that kind of like super deep RPG narrative, like you're really deep into role-playing games, you're really deep into role-playing in this game, and I just think it's brilliant. So for me, the way that I got sold on the experience is that in Disco Elysium, your own thoughts speak to you. So you are a detective, and let's say that you have a thought pattern of electrochemistry, which is actually the part of you that responds to drugs and other illicit substances. From time to time during the game, after conversations or random moments when you're walking, electrochemistry will pop up and be like, hey, we should do drugs right now, or hey, we should smoke a cigarette, and things like that. Sometimes those thoughts are useful, sometimes they are not. So you have these intrusive thoughts that, again, can be both positive and negative, and are always kind of interacting with you throughout the game. And as you role play, the more skill points and the more you develop certain thought patterns, the more those thoughts will be able to actually interact with you during the game and potentially change your playthrough. Like, it has like a great amount of endings and a great amount of just different playthrough combinations and possibilities that can happen, not just based on your actions towards the outside world, which the outside world reacts to you fairly well. Sorry about this. But then also with your own thoughts as well, so with your inner mind and everything like that. So that is Disco Elysium, the final cut. I don't think it would be a game that would have typically sold a lot, so I just wanted to highlight it for you guys. Okay, moving on to the last thing over here, Zubitech on Twitter. He is the one that put together all of the lists of the hardware that we got in 2023. And what I like about this is that it appeals to different crowds, pretty much all of these things. So I'm going to take away the headphones and the headsets because that's audio and you either get these or you get something else. I don't particularly care. But first we have the access controller, obviously great for people that actually will make use of this functionality. I can't wait to actually see reviews to see how well PlayStation did at listening to that community, just as a curious kind of onlooker into that. There might be a time in my life, depending on how things go, where I might actually need to play on this. So it is good to know that the company is actually, offering this as an option. The next thing is obviously the portal over here. I think this is a limited product in terms of use, but I would definitely say that the market for it has been kind of open to me because I truly do not believe that this thing was marketable to anybody. But when I find things out like 90% of Switch owners play just based at home, I'm like, oh, like you guys are the market. So good for you guys. I will not be getting this. So it is what it is. The new PlayStation 5 models, this doesn't really change much, but it does give more options for people down the line. I was always going to get a disc console, so this does not matter to me at all. But I am excited to imagine that the PlayStation 6 will just come with this kind of compatibility and convertible nature just out from the get-go, so you won't have to then be locked into a digital version if you don't want to. Finally, the PlayStation VR 2. I think this is probably the second most interesting thing to me. It's a brand new way of gaming. I just don't think I will buy into it anytime soon. I do not see the appeal of putting a headset on my head. That's not for me. But I think probably towards the end of the generation, kind of as things are wrapping up, it would be cool to be able to actually try one of these. I think the reason I'm not sold on VR is because I've never actually put on a VR headset of any kind before. So I will have to see it to experience it in order to know, but it is cool, and I am glad that it has gotten so many positive feedback and so many positive reviews from the community. And then finally, the DualSense Edge, which was the professional version of the DualSense. I think that's a top rated accessory, or premium accessory for a console this year. I want to get this one. I think it's really cool. I play many games where I could use the two back buttons, but also I just want to experience kind of like what people who have paid for Pro controllers before in the past, what they are able to do, what they are able to achieve. Honestly, I think this thing will be a colossal waste on me because I do not see myself going in and then tinkering with every single setting for every single game to really like nail down what it is I'm trying to do. I think at the most I would just create different profiles to use the back buttons for different things. But even in its kind of limited use case scenario for me personally, I am interested in eventually getting one of these guys and then just giving it a go. So yeah, this was the list of all of the hardware that has come out this year, and there's definitely a conversation there about just how much hardware Sony has been able to put out for the PlayStation ecosystem. So I wonder if this is it. Like, are we done? Aside from headphones and earbuds in the future, are we done with kind of like the baseline? You've got your Portal, you've got your VR2, you've got your Pro controller, you've got your consoles, and then that's it. And then you can buy little accessories or different colors of the DualSense, and that will be it. Or whether they are going to come up with even more, because it will be hard to imagine how they can manage to pump out something else. Like if they come up with a PlayStation Vita successor, like how are they going to be able to manage all of these things, even in terms of like supplies and inventory and everything like that. So anyways, I think that hardware wise, it has definitely been a bright year for PlayStation, and I wonder now if they could just focus on getting more software out, because as much as I agree that PlayStation Studios should be given time to cook, what I would like is to be able to have a guarantee that from during one console generation, from every studio under the brand, we'll be able to get at least 4 different experiences, like 4 different new games, whether those are sequels or brand new IPs. And right now, aside from Insomniac, it is hard to think about anyone who is pretty much match up to that cadence, because Insomniac has already released Miles Morales, Rift Apart, now Spider-Man 2. So that's 3 games that are brand new experiences that you could get for the PlayStation 5 generations. And they've already announced Wolverine, so that'll be the 4th. And I would really, really love for every PlayStation studio to be able to meet that same pace. Whether that's Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, that would be amazing. So anyways, that's all I had to say to you guys, and I'm gonna let you go.